Hey, welcome to the Rando Commando, episode 11. Today we're going to be talking about how running a company is wonderful and frustrating and maddening all at the same time. So I'm going to go off on that. I know lately I've been going off about ministry and what we're doing with Ironclad Ministries and how we're going to help inmates, prisoners, incarcerated, addicted, and all that kind of mess like I was. We're going to help them when they get out of prison, hopefully mentoring them and all that stuff. I've already talked about that. If you've been watching the show, you know about it. If not, Ironclad Ministries is a nonprofit. We are partnered with House of Prophets AZ, David Pappas, and Urban Outreach, Jim Turner. They're on my board. So what we're doing there is we're basically helping men that come out of prison. We want to mentor them when they come out. So there's already a nonprofit ministry in Phoenix called Alongside Ministries, but they have a very high relapse rate once they get out. And I would like to change that. I would like to work with them if I can in the prison before they get out, like Alongside does, or I'd like to work with them on the day they get out and correspond through the mail and have them mentor them through the mail. It's a arduous process, but we need help. We need mentors, men and women. So if you know about this, you know about this. If you don't, you're learning about the first time. That's what we do, Ironclad Ministries. You can go on our website, ironcladministries.com, and volunteer and give and whatever your heart feels like you want to do. We're never going to beg for money. We're just going to have the fruit of what we do shown to the world. And if they feel like they want to help and their Holy Spirit's tugging at the heartstrings, then great. But that's not what this podcast is about today. This is called the Rando Commando podcast because we have random topics. I don't just have one thing I'm interested in, and I know that's how you brand a podcast. You pretty much stay in the vein of Christianity, and there's some great podcasts out there that do that. This one is just like whatever I feel like talking about, I'm going to come here and talk about, and hopefully my personality and my way of thinking, however crazy it is, you guys like, and you can comment. Like, click, share, subscribe, all that stuff. And here we go. Today's episode is about how running a company is wonderful and frustrating all at the same time. Now, I'm really good at memorizing things, but I'm not good at memorizing paragraphs when I do a rant. So forgive me with the glasses and my allergies today. So let's get going on this. Sometimes I feel like I need a psychiatrist full time. Not because I'm sober and a drug addict and ex-incarcerated. It's because of the ups and downs of business is maddening. One day you're on top of the world with hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the next month you made $0 and you're in the red and you're having to take a loan for payroll. If you know how to manage your money and have an accountant and know the S-Corp structure, you will still need a psychiatrist. And I'm not kidding. There's been days where I've come home shot. There's been days where I am mentally and physically done. I'm an electrical contractor, and it's 110 out today here in Phoenix. And we don't just work inside. We work outside in attics where it's upwards towards 130 to 140 degrees. But I digress. That's not what we're here to talk about today. I'm not trying to do a measurement contest of you know what. I want to talk about employees first. In the 36 years I've been doing electrical work, and in the past 8 where I've owned my own business, I can tell you there's a few different types of employees. Electricians specifically. We're all nuts, first of all. Anybody that would touch live electricity and laugh and giggle about it is insane. Anybody who enjoys the danger and the risk of our job is probably a little crazy to begin with, or they're a high-risk taker, which makes them crazy. Let's talk about employees. First one I want to address is the awesome electrician who decides to come in when he wants to come in, though you're working your ass off 12-plus hour days and can't do all the work by yourself, but somehow you find a way to do it. It just means less time with your family and more money, and that's the point that's maddening and frustrating, but yet awesome. So this type of employee just feels like it's not important. They can come in whenever they want. They can take the day off. They're sick a lot. They usually live with their parents. They usually live with family, and they don't have rent. I find that a lot with younger kids, but a couple older ones too still live with their parents, which is crazy to me. Like, move out, get responsible, and do something with your life. What do you even have to pay for when the parents are paying for everything? Those enabling parents. This guy's maddening because you'll have something structured and set up on the calendar, especially in service work. Service work is where you call me with electrical shortage or problem, and we have to come there right away and try to fix it. like a panel's out, a breaker's tripped, GFI's bad, something like that, and that powers something that you need in your home. That's service work, commercial and residential. And this guy, I schedule things, and I need another guy. Like I can't crawl through an attic with wire and have someone on the other side feeding it to me and expect to do that by myself in an efficient manner. I can do it, but I'll tell you what, it goes a lot faster if you have multiple calls during the day. This type of employee just doesn't give you any warning. He texts you the night before at like 9 or 10 o'clock when you've already gone to bed, and you wake up to this text in the morning and say, I'm sick, I can't make it today. That sucks. And I know what you're thinking. Well, just fire him, right? Well, I would love to do that. Trust me. And I'm working towards that. But here's the problem. It is so hard to find responsible, good service electricians in Phoenix, Arizona than anything else I've ever done. They either don't have enough experience or they have too much experience and they're a dick and they have attitude. But if you find a good one who doesn't give you any problems other than the day off occasionally, you can deal with it. But ideally, I'd like to have guys showing up every day. So that being said, let's move to the next one. The next one. The second type of employee I want to address is the employee who lies to you on his resume that has X and Y, Z experience but doesn't, but he lies about it. He says he has all the experience and has worked for all these companies, but I read between the lines. Number one, it's always big commercial projects or so-called journeymen who are still on the journey. So let's talk about that. They call me or apply with me, and all their resume is big commercial projects. These AI plants that they have in inside and outside of Phoenix are snarking up all these electricians, and all they're doing all day is doing commercial work. So they're running EMT conduit, they're pulling THHN wire, and they are setting panels, maybe doing panel rooms, maybe some big stuff. I get it. I did it for a long time. But that doesn't help me in service if you've never had van time. So van time is where you sat in a service van and you actually did your projects, kept track of projects, bid projects, all of that on your own, almost independently. So if you've never done that, I can't use you because I stick you on an old 1969 to 1972 house, and you've never seen aluminum wiring with a backfeed light switch. So if you're an electrician, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Basically, these older houses that were built in the late 60s and early 70s here in Phoenix had aluminum wiring. If you know anything about aluminum wiring, it's very dangerous. It pulls away from the screws and starts arcing. Wires just stop working. They break away. They bust off when you're trying to fix them. It's a nightmare. And if you have that aluminum in your home, you should probably call an electrician. RP Energy, if you're in Phoenix, that's me. I'm not here to sell that on you. I'm just telling you the facts. A lot of lighting is the home run from the circuit breaker to the room that you're feeding, went up into the light fixture, and then they backfed 2 wires down for the light switch with no neutral wire. So if you try to add an outlet in the future where the switch was right underneath it in a bedroom, you can't because there's no neutral. It's up in the ceiling. That's the way they used to do it. Today, we bring the home run into a switch box, and we disperse from there. So that anyway, I digress again. That's Rando Commando ADHD. They all say the same thing, that they've run jobs, that they're amazing, blah, 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 blah. They run conduit. They know how to read prints. So do I. So does almost everybody in the first 2 years. That they pull wire and they know how to make up a panel, but they don't know shit about service and how to trace or troubleshoot. You get them on a job and they don't even know what a Myers hub is or how it works. They don't know what a backfed light is, like I mentioned earlier, and they sure don't know how to troubleshoot a dead short. A dead short is where you might have had this in your home. Your lighting and power goes out in a part of the house. Okay, let's say the bedroom fan and light, and then the outlets that are in maybe 2 bedrooms go out. But you go to the breaker box and the breaker isn't tripped because it's an older panel. The breaker isn't tripped because you don't have appropriate grounding at your panel. Back in the day, they used what they called a UFER, U-F-E-R. The UFER went into the concrete pad and it bonded to the rebar with a clamp, and then it came out of the finished concrete into the panel. Today, NEC standards say that we have to have 2 ground rods 6 feet apart. We have to bond the water spigot, and we have to bond the customer side of the natural gas if you have gas at your house. So those are 4 separate bonds that you have to do. So the old panels wouldn't trip. The breaker would stay on, and where the short was, it would just heat up, and that's how fires occur. So it's my job. I get these a lot, at least 1 or 2 a week, where I go fix these. I had one today. I went out, and it wasn't a dead short. The breakers actually were old and weren't clamping down on the bus bar. That's the metal behind the panel where your breakers snap into. If that's not touching and clamped down, the power's not going to work. So they were old breakers. They needed to be replaced, and we replaced them and got his power back on. But these guys that apply at, I don't know if it's my company or all companies. If you own a company, comment down below and let me know if you're having the same issue. AI's eating up all the electricians, and now service companies, owners are having to go out and work the field when we should be trying to get more work. That's frustrating and fucking maddening, and I get so pissed when I have to go do that. I don't mind working, but when people call in for a sick day and you're looking for a new guy and you go through 15 people and none of them have service experience, you can't hire them because you're wasting money. They don't even know what they're doing on these kind of jobs. We also do EcoFlow smart panels. So if you're familiar with EcoFlow, they have a battery backup stack that plugs into their home smart panel. It's about $15,000 and tons of people are putting them in. We've probably put in 30 of them in the last year. You have a 200 amp panel on your house, and then you have a 200 amp EcoFlow. The EcoFlow goes right behind your main panel in the garage. Like in Arizona, all the panels and breakers are outside to the left or right of the house on the exterior of the garage. You put the EcoFlow panel there, and you move all the circuits into that panel. You just wire nut them in the regular panel and move them into the breakers in the smart panel. And then you plug the batteries in. Problem is, in Arizona, when we get temperatures of today, 110 degrees outside, your garage is pretty damn hot. So putting the batteries out there isn't a smart idea because they're not going to charge all the way. They're going to get too hot and the inverters kick the fans on all the time and you never get a full charge. So what ends up happening is we send the main, let's say you have a 200 amp, we take a 200 amp SEO cable, it's aluminum, okay? It goes into the house from the main panel, and we move the whole sub panel into the laundry room because in Arizona, most houses, when their garage door into the house goes into the house, it's the laundry room. So the batteries stay cool with the air conditioning in the house. I know this is a lot of information, and if you're an electrician, you're probably going to follow this. If you're not, you're probably going to skip on by, but that's okay because I got a bone to pick, and I'm frustrated right now about it. If you're interested in EcoFlow panels, hit up RP Energy on Facebook. We're in Arizona. So the third type of employee is a guy who has his license. This is my favorite one to talk about. So my company has a license. I went to school, I tested, I had to go in front of the board of registered contractors, and I had to get my license. It took 6 months, and it was very hard work. Okay. I get guys who have their own license. They think starting a company is going to be easy. Excuse me. They have their license, and they think running a bit, you could do. They work for someone that, my boss doesn't work hard. I could do this job. And they go get their license. Failing to understand that there's a business aspect, number one. And two, that you don't have days off. You don't have breaks. Even if you go on vacation, you got your phone right next to you and you're still solving problems from Hawaii. I had to do that many times. But this third employee is a guy who has his own license and he has his own business. But he can't get enough work to stay busy on his own, so he comes and works for you. Part-time. Full-time, it doesn't matter. They're all part-time. I'll explain why. They always say, hey, I'm part-time. I'll work for you full-time, okay? But it won't interfere. My company, if I get jobs, I'll do it on the weekends or after hours. But what they end up being as a part-time employee, as soon as he gets a job, a big job, he goes and does that job while he's working for you. Your quality of work at your company suffers from this employee. Do not hire guys that have their own license. It's not wise. They will end up quitting at the first $10,000 job that they get and then call you. It's happened to me 4 or 5 times. They call me a couple weeks later asking for their job back, and I have to tell them to go eat a big fat you-know-what. And sorry if that offends you, but it's maddening. They're good electricians. They have their license in their own business. They're very good at what they do. They do a good job for you, but they'll never care about your company like they care about theirs. They're very selfish in that respect because they will take their jobs over your company any day. And then when they don't have enough contacts or connects to get work that I've built over the last 8 years, they call you because you have work. And that is frustrating to me. They always ask for the job back, dude, and I can't do it. Unless I'm desperate, I'll use them on a project, then fire their ass. I can keep my guys pretty much busy all year round. We have some slow months in, February, March, January, but that's normal for everybody. So if you're thinking about starting your own company or you have a company now, learn to save money during the busy season, which is now, and then save it for that slow time because you're going to need it for your mortgage, baby. You're going to need it for your contractor's insurance. You're going to need it for everything, man, because you're lucky if you get 30 hours a week in the winter. And if you say, I get more than that, you've never worked here. That's the way it is here. Unless you're an established company that spends $90,000 a month on Google advertising like Parker & Sons and Penguin Air, you're never going to get that kind of volume. My business was started with a Craigslist ad and building it word of mouth. And those people that I served 8 years ago still call me for work or refer me out. That's the best way. Word of mouth and referral. You will always have work. You'll never have to argue and haggle over price. You'll be able to ask what you want because they know by the referral or by the past work that you do a great job. And that's the other thing. Do a good job. Do a good job. Show up and do a good job. Do not complain. Do not get angry. Don't get mad. Shut your mouth. Go to work and be nice to the customer. And if you can, upsell them when you see something. If you're working on their house and their panel is trash, offer to upgrade it. Offer to switch the breakers out. Something to upsell. And I don't think enough guys have learned that and serviced that. It's all about the upsell. That's how you continue working. If I'm not on the job all the time because I'm not getting work, you're on the job dealing with the customer. Why don't you try to upsell them can lights? Why don't you upside them under cabinet LED lights? Something, because that keeps you working, the employee. That keeps you working. You're out there in the field. You're my eyes and ears. Upsell. You'll get more hours that way. You get overtime that way. That's how it works. Unless you want to start your own business and try this on your own, you be my guest and go ahead. This is the most maddening thing you can ever do, and I must be crazy to do it. Now let's talk about something else. I'm going to change topics real quick. Let's talk about when you're a contractor, you have to finance jobs. Yeah, that's right. Some of you are going to argue, well, ask for a deposit. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's say you get a large commercial project like AutoZone, 40,000 square foot, which I took over from another contractor 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago. They paid a deposit to the guy that they fired, so that was eaten up. And when I came there, I said, okay, we'll do this, but what I'm going to do is bill you every week for payroll. You tell me how many guys you want on this project. I'll bill you what they want an hour for payroll, and I'm going to charge you 15% on top for me because I am responsible for the job. I still have to go down there, check the blueprints, and make sure everything's going right. Okay? And they bought all the materials we need. They did that. That was sweet. I would make a list. They would call it in, or I'd go in under their account and pick up what I needed. It was a smooth operation for 2 months. Well, lo and behold, they were a big California contractor. They had money. They either were running out of it on this project or they didn't want to give it to me. So at the end of the project, when I went to pay my guys and some add-ons and extras, they screwed me over. And because I wasn't a general contractor, I was a subcontractor, even though I put a lien on the project, okay, on commercial, the general contractor has to put the lien on AutoZone. Even if I have one, it's null and void. It has to come from the GC, and they never did that for me because they did it for the other guy, and they forgot or didn't care to do it for me. So I basically financed a whole bunch of the payroll, and then they screwed me. So I got screwed out of the $30,000. But let's talk about an even smaller project, okay? Let's talk about residential remodel. Let's say it's $10,000, okay? It could be a little $8,000. It doesn't matter. Okay, you get a 50% upfront deposit, and then you get a 50% when you're done. If it's a bigger project, the way I break it up is a 50% at the front, 25% after rough wall inspection, which means all your wiring's in the wall before drywall. They have to inspect it. Once that passes, 25%, and then 25% at the end. The problem is the upfront money gets eaten in material and labor. So you don't make anything off that. And after that's paid, if it takes longer, you're financing it until you get the money. And the money at the end could come 6 months later. So you're basically the bank. So what I started doing was charging interest on top of that. So the second payment that comes in, I calculate what I think the project is going to take until I get paid after rough wall, and I put an interest rate on top of it and charge it. I get it almost every time now because I don't even have to explain. I just put it in the bid and they don't even know what's happening. So then I don't get frustrated when I'm financing a job and it comes back at the end and I get paid and I get to keep the end payment, the 25%, which in most cases isn't that great. If you think about it, 25% of 10,000 is only $2,500. If it took you a week to rough it in and you had to wait 3 months for all the other trades to finish, you're not getting that for 3 months. So it's really not worth it. And that's why I stick with service. I stick with service because it's constant cash flow. They're 1 or 2 day projects, maybe a week project here and there, but you're getting cash moving through all the time to be able to buy materials, pay your supply house bill off, pay your employees. You're never short of capital, and that liquid capital is what you need. And then there's this payroll every week, which goes up if you're trying to finish a job, and there's overtime. There's that. That all comes out of your pocket. Because remember, the first deposit got eaten up on rough-in materials and labor, and that's why I don't like to do commercial work anymore. There's a slim profit margin on commercial, maybe 10 to 15%, and it eats up all your guys when they work overtime. Forget about it. So even if I would have got the $30,000 that AutoZone owed me on that, I would have made nothing at the end. And that's why, unless you've got that shit dialed in, I'd stay away from commercial. I really would. I would stay away from it. The other one is customers. Now, I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. Jesus is king. I'm a believer, but people can be difficult. So there's a trust factor involved. Sometimes you get a very good, let's not say sometimes. Let's say 75 to 85% I get are trusting customers. We go in there, we get a deposit, we show up on time whenever we agree to show up, and we get the job done and they pay, no problems, bing, bang, we're out of there, okay? One thing that it's hard to explain to everybody is the specialized skill that comes with service, okay? So the customers don't understand that good service commercial and residential electricians want money. They want $40 to $50 an hour. So that's $1,600 to $2,000 a week. That's what they want. And you'll pay it if you want someone that can deal with customers, do a good job, and finish it fast and clean and right. You'll pay them that because that's what I have to do. I've tried the other cheaper routes. It doesn't work out for you. Trust me. It's specialized because not any electrician can do service. Like I explained in the beginning of the video, we change panels. We do sub panels. We do pool shorts and rewire pools. We go to commercial projects and change out panels. We go to commercial jobs and add circuits. We go to commercial jobs and remodel a tenant improvement, a small one. We go to people's houses and we remodel that. We do Tesla chargers. We do industrial controls. We do all of that. And I'm good if you don't know some of that stuff, like controls. I'm not mad at you. If you don't know how to do it, that's fine. That's a very specialized within a specialized. But I can train someone that's done all the rest. So now you're looking at guys that are in their 40s, late 30s to high 50s. And these guys have been working for a long time and they have the experience, but a lot of them are beat up. A lot of them have alcohol issues, substance abuse issues. A lot of them, their bodies are breaking down. They can't go into attics. They can't handle the heat. So now you're looking at a very even more concentrated range of like late 30s to mid 40s that can do this job and show up every day. And that's what makes it difficult. So the homeowner doesn't understand any of that. They just think that you can show up and just fix it because you're an electrician. Well, that's not the deal. So when I charge you $175 an hour, it means that I've got 2 guys at your house at roughly $70 an hour. Then I've got vehicle upkeep, fuel, tires, insurance, contractor's insurance. All the extra costs of running a business have to get factored into that hourly. So that's the goal, right? So, and then people want to haggle on that too. But lately I haven't been moving. I'd rather not do the job than lose money. And customers, if you're watching, that's what you're paying for. Materials are through the roof. They're 35% higher than they were 5 years ago, maybe even more. They might be 50% high. They've never brought the prices down on wire. They haven't brought the prices down on anything, and we're paying top dollar. You can go on Amazon and pick up, outlets and switches and GFIs, but when I get those, they're crap. They're just not good, man. I'd rather get the Home Depot brand or the Supply House brand of Eagle or Hubble or good products, Leviton that actually work, so I don't have to go back on a warranty issue. Okay, warranty issues is a separate thing. That's why you use good products. So you're paying for when you hire, probably not just me, probably all the service companies, they're paying a lot for advertising too. If you're advertising on Google, some companies, like I said earlier, spend $90,000 a month to be number one for electrician near me on Google in Phoenix. So luckily we have a secret weapon at ours, a friend of mine who does it, and we don't pay that much, and we show up number one sometimes, and that's a new thing to me. So when I say it's specialized, dude, and we're in your house, it means a guy has done this before. He knows how to bill. He knows how to upsell. He knows how to do the job. He's done it many times before, and he can finish up in a quick, efficient manner that makes you happy because he's not in your house all day tearing things open, outlets and switches, and going in your attic and getting insulation everywhere. He knows what he's doing, and you're paying for the quality and you're paying for the efficiency. So that's about it. That's what I come to talk about today. It's been very difficult hiring these guys and keeping these guys. So if you're a contractor, like, share, and subscribe. We don't always talk about this on the show. Like I said, this is a random topic podcast that we go anywhere from deliverance ministry to relationships to guitars to contracting today, because it's something that I know about, you know. And like I said in the beginning of the podcast, if you're still here, we have a ministry that helps guys coming out of the prison that want to do this, because when I got out, I didn't know how to do this. I knew how to do the actual work, the service work, but I didn't know how to run a company. And those are some hard lessons that I've had to learn. And I want to pass that on and make these guys coming out of prison who are good guys, if they're sober and they are Christians, and they don't have to be Christians, but as long as they're sober and they want to change their life, I want to be there to help them change their life. And to do that, it takes time and patience, and I never used to have that. So recovery has taught me a few things. I can love on people today and help people today, and I want to change lives for the kingdom of God, because once you get these guys out there in the workforce, they're unstoppable. They're smart. Most drug addicts that I've known who are like out on the streets for years and years, that takes hustle and initiative and creative thinking to be out there that long and finally just get arrested and say that, you know, the jig's up. I got to get clean. I got to do something with my life before I get out. Those are the guys that we want to help, because I know tons of guys like that. I'm friends with all those kind of guys today, and they're really on fire. And their companies are taking off, and they're very successful, and we've been successful, and it's just been an interesting journey. So if you do like these videos, like, share, subscribe. We'd love to have you on board. We're just a small channel, and if you want to follow us, that'd be great. I think that the content that we're putting out is very, it's intriguing. You know, I have an unusual brain, and I'm a Rando Commando. I'm ADHD. I think about all kinds of things. So I want to get this stuff out there. I want people to comment and engage with our content. And that's it for today. Rando Commando signing out. Have a blessed day.